on the Orient Express is directed by and stars Kenneth Branagh along with an all-star cast, also starring Willem Dafoe, Daisy Ridley, Josh Gad, Penelope Cruz, Johnny Depp, along with many others. Here, Kenneth Branagh plays Hercule Poirot, who is probably the greatest detective in the world. And of course, this is another remake and an adaptation from Agatha Christie's novel, where a murder takes place on the Orient Express and Poirot must solve the case. Here I am, catching up on all my reviews for you guys, and I will say, I never read the Murder on the Orient Express book, nor have I seen any of the films prior to this one, so I came into this movie knowing absolutely nothing. And from a filmmaking standpoint, I thought that Kenneth Branagh did a great job in directing and starring in this film. As the main lead, Poirot, I thought he stole the show. Definitely the best part about this film. I thought Branagh was electrifying as this character. I thought he was so good here. I've always enjoyed seeing Kenneth Branagh not only direct movies, but also star in them. He's been one of my favorites for the past several years. And one thing I also caught from his directing style was how he was able to capture this time period so well, between the dress design as well as the sets. This movie, without a doubt, felt like that time period, and it was done in a very interesting way. The aspect of this film that interested me the most going into it was, of course, the murder mystery part. And once the murder happens on the Orient Express, you have a plethora of interrogation scenes, which I felt were very strong. I'm just so happy this movie came out around the Thanksgiving holiday. It feels like a holiday movie because of how Kenneth Branagh directed it and how this movie looks. The all-star cast was something that worried many people, including myself, because a lot of times when you have a massive all-star cast, the movie ends up being really bad. But here, they utilized everyone very well, and I thought everyone gave a very good performance. But I also have to say with that, nobody stole a show besides Kenneth Branagh. He was easily the best in this whole movie. Everyone else I felt was very good, but nobody exactly stole the show away from him. He was definitely the best. For a majority of this movie, it was very enjoyable. I love the murder mystery aspect. Movies like this aren't made much nowadays, so that's one of the reasons why I was so happy this movie finally came out, even though it's a remake. Where the problems come in for me with Murder on the Orient Express is due to the amount of characters we have here. The movie is between an hour and 45 and 2 hours long, and by the end of it, you feel a little underwhelmed because most of the characters here, besides maybe Kenneth Branagh's character, are all underdeveloped. And there's so much going on with this plot and all the characters that you lose track of who's who. I didn't know any of the characters' names besides Poirot. He's the only person in the whole movie I could tell you I knew his name, but everyone else I felt like wasn't that important. There's facts upon facts upon facts upon facts in this film, and it's hard to keep up with all the characters and their backstories and how they connect to this murder. So in this movie, I found it very hard to connect all the dots, and people will say to me, read the book, you'll understand it more, but that should not be the case when you see a movie. You should have all the information for yourself in the movie when viewing it. Once again, we have another film in November that overdoses on CGI. I'm not going to get into that. The main thing I want to take away from this film, even though I did not see the originals, was this movie necessary to make? Well, you guys let me know because I never saw those ones. So for this year's Murder on the Orient Express, I liked this movie. I would recommend seeing it. I found it to be a fun, interesting movie about a murder and had very good performances throughout. I love the whole murder aspect with this film. I always like movies that involve murders and how they're going to ultimately go by the end and who did what. It's always extremely interesting to me. I also love Branagh as the director and star of this movie. He was great. He definitely stole the show, and this one feels like a holiday movie. I'm glad it came out around this time. Plus, we don't get to see movies like this too often, so I was happy to see this one. But just because of the underwhelming character development and how there was so many characters, I lost track of who was who at one point. That's where this film loses some points. I'm going to give Murder on the Orient Express a 71%. I overall enjoyed this one. I think you guys should check it out. It should be in theaters up until Christmas, so I'd say give it a watch. It's a fun one. This weekend, I also saw Pixar's latest movie, Coco, so expect that review coming out later today, guys. If you're new to my channel, click that subscribe button and follow me on Twitter at SvenSulley and follow me on Snapchat at SvenMovies. Thank you all so much for watching this video, and I hope you all have a fantastic day.